In this scrapbook step-by-step, I'm going to show you how I created this layout entitled Almost 8. And you can see this layout focuses on journaling the story. So I have a lot of journaling strips, and I also utilize a lot of pattern paper, and then I'm also going to do some fun misting and inking. Okay, so to construct this layout, I have some of my favorite basic gray hipster papers. And I'm using a lot of the B sides. So if you'll look here, you can see the A sides of the paper are really, really bold. Big graphics, bold designs, but the B sides are muted and more subtle designs. And I really like the way that those look, so I've chosen some of those. I also have coordinating basic gray stickers. I have my cutting mat because I like to use ruler and X-Acto knife. But you can totally use trimmers too. This is just the way I learned how to cut, and I prefer it. This is the Scotch ATG gun. It's my favorite adhesive, and this will work great when we add the journaling strips. I do have a collection of mists. I'm just gonna kind of wing it and see which ones I like. I have the Tim Holtz Distress Ink frayed burlap for edging. And then I printed a photo of Ryland on regular cardstock instead of glossy photo paper, because what I actually wanted to do was have the paper suck in some of the color so that his picture was desaturated to match or coordinate with these desaturated papers. You can see the blue-green in his eyes will look good with these blue-green papers, and his kind of faded skin tone will look good with the browns and the rusts in the papers. And then for the journaling, I printed my journaling on vellum to give it a unique look. And I chose some tidbits about his life because I do one of these layouts every year right before his birthday. So almost 2, almost 3, almost 4, 5, 6, 7, and now almost 8. So these are just little things about his life that then we'll cut out. And I chose a bold, thick font, and I chose all caps so that when I place the vellum strip over pattern paper, you can clearly still read what the sentence says. So my first step will be to kind of mist the corner of this cardstock picture, but first I'm going to trim it out from my regular 8.5 by 11 page and then get my misting station set up. Okay, so now I'm ready to mist. I added another plastic layer down here, and I'm gonna kind of protect his face area. So I just happen to have another piece here that I'm just gonna kind of cut in a circle. So not too much mist gets on his face. I do kind of want it here though. So to get the just subtle misting I'm wanting, I'm going to aim my mist for here on the mat. So now I have my photo kind of misted, and I'm going to let this dry while I'm working on the other elements. This is going to be my background paper. So I'm going to leave it exactly 12 by 12. I just need to take off this border piece down here. This muted turquoise page is going to be the mat for his photo. But I do want to add inking to the photo and to the mat. So I think what I'm going to do is trim the mat and ink it, and then ink his photo so I can give this a little bit more time to dry. So for inking, I can just ink the sides of this turquoise paper. You can see my burlap. I have my Tim Holtz frayed burlap distress ink. You can see that's how I use it a lot. I just prefer to kind of hold it and use it just like this. That's just my style. There's no right or wrong way. So now my edge inking is done. I'm going to adhere down the photo to the mat and then the mat to the paper. So now I have a lot of the base of my layout done. Now I can work on the fun journaling strips. And it's not really hard, it just kind of takes a while. So I'll cut out the journaling strips from the vellum first. And I'm going to eyeball equidistance of vellum around each sentence and just cut with my X-Acto knife and get nice strips. Okay, so now I have my strips all perfectly cut and ready to go. I have 13 strips, and I've chosen 6 pattern papers. So I'm going to do 2 strips on each paper with 1 left over, and I'm going to choose 3 for the turquoise. And I'm going to adhere these down and then cut. You can see I use the ATG to do a continuous strip along the vellum. I don't think that you can see the adhesive through the vellum. It doesn't look bad at all. So that's the way I chose to adhere the vellum. There are vellum adhesives that you can choose to use as well. And I am choosing to put the strips along corners, so I have to do less cutting. Instead of lying it here, I would have to cut again and again. Here, I just need to cut once and then a corner. So now I have all of my strips ready, and I'm going to bring over my layout, and this part just takes a little bit of time. You just lay everything out without adding adhesive, make sure it looks good, and then carefully add your adhesive. So I want it kind of in a sunburst around his face. Okay, so as you can see, halfway through I decided that I had too much to try to arc the side of his face, so I decided that it looked better straight. So now I have them the way I want. They're kind of a little bit crooked but yet straight, and they're kind of whimsical. So now I'm going to carefully add my adhesive to each one without moving the others. Okay, so now I'm almost done. I'm going to add a large title that says Almost 8, and then a subtitle that says his name, Ryland, and then May 2013. So now you can see I've done the finishing touches, and this is my Almost 8 layout that focuses on journaling the story.